Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I've just been sitting here continuing with the stitching around our little beehive. So I thought I'll just get those little French knots in there, and I was just about to select the green that I'm going to use to create some foliage under those French knots. So she used some stem stitch and then some little lazy daisy stitches to create this little tuft of flowers. Gee, that's better. It was not in focus there. So we need a green. It's slightly different to the one next to it. Okay. I'm looking forward to doing the wheat. I haven't done wheat before. So I was going to start with that, and I picked up the yellow, and then as I threaded my needle, I was going to turn on the camera, and as I threaded the needle, it was just too bright. I think I need more of a soft golden sort of browny colour. So I thought, oh, I'll use it down the bottom here for these little French knots. So now I'm just going to do a little stem stitch, I think. Not that I have much room to get many stitches in, but it'll be enough to give the impression that there's something of that nature there. I just zoom in so you can get a little bit better. Zooming in too makes me sit up straight in my chair, which is a good thing. I seem to get up from filming feeling a lot better. I'm barely getting a stem stitch in here. It's more like just running stitch. What's going on there? Why have I got a puckery looking? Oops. One of them's just a little bit uneven, and it's causing a puckered looking stitch sitting in the air. So these little stitches don't quite meet the underlying stitches that are coming from the ground up to it. There's like a little bit of a gap there. I didn't exactly get stem stitch in there. There's just not really enough room to do it. But the lady that did it on this did. Let's now get these little lazy daisy stitches in as the little leaves down here. Okay. Yeah, that's going to work. That's a cute little cluster. Very cute and easy too. So if you've got a spot within your piece and you need to fill a little bit of space about the size of a cotton reel with an interesting little plant, that one's not bad. I have to remember it now. That's the problem. You do all these stitches and you just don't remember. You've got to pull your pieces out and have a flip through or have a look at them, because time goes by and you forget. You do seem to get your favourites, and then you start getting a bit bored because you're always doing the same sort of thing. Okay. Finish that off. Got a little bit of green left. I might just, before we go to that wheat, just use this up. Oh, now I've got a nasty looking knot. Come on. Oh, goodness me. What a shame. How bodgy. I'm just going to stitch that loop down now on the back. So if I cut it, all my work will unravel, but I don't want that knot hanging. Luckily, we're not going into a show to be judged, so I'm just going to run a few stitches around the back just to secure that thread so that it's not flapping. Oh, it happens. There goes my excess green that I had. We're off to a flying start, aren't we? So the loop, as it knotted, it created a loop on the back there. So I just whizzed around with my thread and stitched it down. No one will ever know. Don't tell anybody. It's our secret. There's only a few of us hanging out here. All right. I've still got a little bit of green here. I might, just so it doesn't get lost, I might run a few broad leaves up in here. Just to get us a little bit of foliage in around those cornflowers that we did yesterday. Might make them segmented leaves. I sort of like that. Oh, might leave it at that. Just add a loop. You can't even see. I did a loop at the top, just with 2 stitches, back up and down, and then when I got to the bottom, I shot down to create a bit of a thin stem on the top of that leaf. That's pretty good. I'll do it again. So I went up, then I come down to the bottom and went up again to create a 2-stitch broad looking leaf, and then I came back down to the bottom again and dropped a line or a stitch down. So let's do it again. So work out where our little leaf is going. Have I got enough thread? Yep. So I'll stop before that cornflower there and do a stitch back up next to it. It gives it a thick top. It's like a reed, but not. And finish him off. So it's just to blend the 2 zones together. That's good. Okay, let's do the wheat. So I need a soft brown golden colour, I think. Maybe that. It's too similar to that. More gold. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so let's get 3 threads or 2. We'll do 3. 3 seems to be working really well. And I'm using 422 DMC. That orange was 741. Now whether they're old numbers, because I've noticed that DMC have started adjusting some die lots, therefore creating new numbers. Okay, so let's have a look at this wheat. Where did we get the wheat from? Where did we copy the wheat from to create it? Was it in here? Nope. I don't think it was in our fancy book. Was it stitched on something? I put a heap of books away. Oh well, we're just going to wing it. No, we Googled it, didn't we? Yeah, we Googled it. Do I have my phone? Yep. So I'm just going to type in embroidered wheat and just see what combinations they've used to sort of build it up. I can sort of imagine little strokes and lazy daisies and things like that. Let's go to images. Oh, there's our image. Okay, so whose site are we looking at here? needleandthread.com. Okay, so they've used a variegated, there's some bullion stitches on that. We're not going to go that crazy. We'll do this over here. Some variegated threads and then those big stab stitches. See how they've used variegated thread there? How pretty is that? I don't have variegated yellow thread. And then those ones are bullion stitches. 2 of them side by side to create the little seed. And then as you get higher up, you just use the one and then stitch out from there. 5 ways to create texture on wheat. Well, that'd be worth looking into. Okay. We've got our colour. I hope that's the right colour. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. So let's get our first little lazy daisy in. Okay. Yep, that's going to work. So we might just go up one side. I might too, I'm just going to put a little peak at the end of the lazy daisy. You know, when you, just before you put your thread, your needle back down to secure it, you just come forward a fraction so that you've got like this little line at the top. Of each of the stitches. Now we're getting right to the top, so I just have to do one more and then I might have to just do one single stitch because we sort of want to give the impression that it's getting smaller up there. Oh no, I think it will fit. It's just a case of experimenting. I haven't done wheat before. This is really good. Isn't it great how this project's pushing our boundaries, getting us to try different things, and they're probably prompts sometimes that we would never have thought to do, like we would have just thought, nah, too hard. I know there's some vegetable patches coming together and there is so much work going into them, like Wow. And I know if you're doing your own project, sometimes you sort of take the shortcuts because you just want to get the thing done, or you're starting to wander onto a new idea, so you tend to just do the basics. You get to a stage like that in all projects. But by having a prompt, we are... Now the nodules definitely together. This is where yeah, they are, but there's a gap for the stem. You've really got to take note of the structure of some of these flowers, because if you don't get them quite right, it just doesn't look right. There's a little gap that the stem has to go up through. So I'm just going to come away from that last lazy daisy a fraction. I'm going to allow a little bit of air there. Yeah, that's better. So they're pretty much in line, but just a little bit away from. Just a little bit away from the center. Gives you that little bit of space to run a stitch through the middle there to create the stem. Well, that was reasonably easy. Last one. Okay, so now I'm just going to come down here and start working a stitch consecutively up the center there. I remember as a kid being in a fabric store or a haberdashery, and there were a few in the country towns that I grew up in, around where I grew up, and going through catalogues with my grandmother and mum, looking at the little doily patterns, and then you'd order them in. Them were the days. That stitch is too big, Corrine, so just... Okay. Now, I think I only need a few threads to do those little fibres. So with this left over, I'm going to scoot over here and use the last of this thread just to pop a few daisy stitches up. Then I'll rethread with just the one, I think, to come back through and do fibres. I get one more, maybe two. This piece is a real blend of hand sewing and... See, that's come too far over. Yeah, look. I'll run it back down as the thread for the center. I just am a little bit too far over to do that little lazy daisy stitch. So instead of unthreading my needle, I'm just going to go from that point back down to create the stem. It's a bit cheating there. Okay. So let's get ourselves, I suppose we use 3 threads. There's 6 in the piece. We really should finish the rest of the ears so that we've used you know, the other half to the first piece of cotton I cut off. Okay. What's going on there? Why have I got a thread appearing? Oh, goodness me. The thread from where I knotted off has been caught and is coming up through the centre. There we go. What a messy embroiderer I am today. Okay, away we go. Right. I was thinking about all you beginners out there, and I thought how exciting that you're just learning these things for the first time. What an adventure you have in front of you. Even us old dogs, we love learning new things. There's always something. Someone's clever out there and invents a new stitch or a combination. Well, it's probably not a new stitch, but a combination of stitches, and we've just never seen it before. And up it pops somewhere. You find yourself looking at, you know, people's clothing that have been stitched, and books, and this is so much inspiration. That's before you get onto those platforms like Instagram and things like that. It's just incredible. You can spend hours just looking and enjoying other people's work. You never remember it all. Like you go, oh, I'd love to try that, but you never do, unless you immediately pick up needle and thread and make it. But then you still forget it. The classic was when I was looking at that bag the other day. I'd forgotten about those hydrangeas, those three-dimensional hydrangeas. Okay, we're coming back down the other side now. So I think I'll use the same lazy daisy stitch for these flowers over here. I don't know if they're hollyhocks, but they've sort of got that shape. But I might need to drop down to 2 threads because they're so close together. 3 might be just a little bit too chunky. Okay. Now I can pick up where I went down that stem. There we go. And just finish that little stem coming through the center. Okay, and I will end that off. I do want to put some little tassels out the top, but like I said, I need to get only 2, maybe even 1 thread. I think 1 thread for that. And I might even go up a shade in colour so that they're a little bit more of a feature. Let's have a look. Okay. And that's 434. That's a classic caramel brown, that one. It's a good one to have in your collection if you're just starting out. Okay. I might just jump up and turn the iron on so that once we get a few of these stitched down, these flowers, I can quickly iron it for you and you get a true sense of what the piece is going to look like. So from memory now, we just need like little fibres coming off the top of all of those lazy daisy stitches. I think they look as good as those pictures we were looking at. But that's okay. There's a few around the top, so we'll put a few little fibres in there. They look pretty good. I'm happy with that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's probably a little bit too grass-like. Is it actually wheat? I don't know. I'm not convinced. Let me have a look at that picture again. I think I'm following the lines too. Am I following them too straight? Or they're not big enough? They're probably not big enough. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I've pulled off the wheat. I think I've created a grass. Something's quite not right with them. Let's come up this other side now. Just do a little stitch on the way that no one will notice. A little invisible stitch onto the corner there. Just to anchor my thread. And let's scoot up this side. Maybe it's not golden enough. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's an attempt at wheat. I think it's the angle that I'm doing the stitch at. I'm completely changing my angle here. And it's giving it a completely different look. So that's what I mean by your stitch placement. Sometimes it makes all the difference. See that stitch is crooked. It needs to be more upright. Yeah, I think this one's a little bit better. It's got more of a long fibre stitch at the top of the wheat. It's mastering the right angles. I'll have to try wheat another time somewhere. Probably if I had a proper drawing of it underneath, you know, like it was printed on the fabric, you'd be okay, but we freehanded it. So there's probably something quite not right with its proportions. I'd have to study it. Maybe the little buds, the little wheat kernels are not big enough, or they're too big. Either way, we have wheat, or we have a grass-like plant growing behind the beehive. I still like it, but it's still pretty. Yeah, look, at a glance, a novice would know that that's wheat. I might just pop a few little stitches around it. I sort of feel like it needs something Just a couple little fibrous-y leaves. What am I doing here? Just to soften it a little bit. I think from memory, wheat has that leaf that goes up and then it bends down. Is that correct? I think so. Didn't really grow wheat as a kid on our farm. It wasn't dry enough. You need to grow wheat in real dry country. But we grew a lot of corn and the plants that are stem-like, you know, straight stalks, and sorghum and milo, all of those types of plants. So I'm probably stitching in the wrong leaf. So I might just lay down a long stitch. I just do another one, and then at the top we want this little bent. Is that angle right? Nope. I think we want it more closer to the actual branch or the leaf going up, like so. Yeah, that's better. It's just to help soften. And then we'll come back down and we'll shoot up another one. When you're freestyle stitching like this, use your thread by just laying it down on the fabric to sort of tell you quickly where it's going to lay. And that way you've sort of got a bit of an idea before you actually lay the stitch down. This one I've done a little bit thinner. I haven't quite connected the top stitch to the bottom. That's too thick. I don't like it. I'm going to unpick that, guys. It just needs to be 2 degree of difficulty high here. Wasting your time. You certainly get warts and all on my channel. If it stuffs up, you're going to see it stuff up. If it needs to be unpicked, we're unpicking. I think this needs to be just 2 strokes, not... Oh, this is... I'm going to spend too long. We're snipping. We're just going to snip that out. We're going to start that again. The knot must be just in behind there. That's it. Gone. Gone, gone, leaf, gone. Bad idea. All right, let's start that again. Maybe the problem is the brown. I'm going to go back to the original wheat colour. I think that brown was a little bit too bold. And my first stitches were too many, therefore it looked chunky. I might just go to 3. Or am I getting back to where I was? Okay, let's try that again. How are we going for time? Plenty of time. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, that's, I think, more subtle. And just a little turned down section this time, I think. And then we'll come back up for a bigger one. Oh my goodness me. Some days you wonder why you bother. The threads are not coming through. I probably need that thread conditioner where you run your thread through the silicone-y product. Now I've pulled it too tight. This is the start of my day, it would seem. That's better. I still don't like them. No, don't like them. They're gone. They're just not quite right. I need to think about them a little more. Nope. Chop, chop, gone. Need to do a bit of research on what the leaves of the wheat look like. I know they're strappy. It's finding the right stitch. Okay. Let's move away from the leaves for a moment, and I need to do a little bit of research. I want to start doing these guys before our time slot just disappears. Now, what colour will we do over here? I've got a blue nearby, so we might do a red just to, it's a bit of a contrast. Maybe a soft red, like a plummy. Try this, hey? It's a bit of a dirty red. It's not real bright. Maybe this pinky. It might be better. A bit fresher. Okay. Let's get some threads. I'm thinking I'll just do 2, because we're putting a few little, I can feel the thread is old. It just feels not dusty, but some of these threads I've had since I was a kid, and it just feels like it's a little bit coarse, or it's another brand other than DMC. Possibly it could be Anchor 3328, who knows. Okay, so how did they do this? They did 3 little lazy daisies in a row, and up the stem they went. And they ever so slightly angled them as they went, as the anchoring point for the bud of the flower. What did I do then? I forgot to do the stitch. I looked up at the screen briefly to make sure I was in camera shot and jiggered up the stitch. So you've got to come from the bottom, Corrine. There we go. That's 1, 2, and 3. How easy is that? Oh, don't muck around, seriously. There we go. It's like the thread's changing. It's, goodness. Some days you just need to put the needle down and maybe go and vacuum instead. Oh dear. So now we start again, slightly above, yep. With our 3 little stitches, and we're going to try and curve them around so that the little bunch is looking like the wind has sort of whipped it. Sounds very professional, doesn't it? Says the girl who can't work out how to stitch a leaf of wheat properly. There we go. They probably need to be a little bit closer together now as we head up. That plant is sort of still budding. So I'm going to try this next one to get them right next to each other. Sort of to convince us that they are. I'm decreasing them a little bit in size. That's better. Okay. Next little guy. Yeah, that's a little bit better. We're starting to decrease the flower now. Okay, the next 3. I think after these 3, we might need to reduce it to just 2. Just so that we're reducing our cluster. Isn't it amazing that we've pretty much sketched the design from that doily that someone else has stitched, yet her hand and my hand, as they are stitched down, are completely different. I notice that when I do classes, it's everyone's interpretation or the laying down of a stitch or even the space between stitches can be completely different, giving a completely different effect. It's very interesting. It's a bit easier, I guess, if the fabric is printed with the image. Well, then you can't really be too different. But when you're just freestyling or sketching and you're all doing a similar flower, I'm happy with the colour. That's really good. We're going to run out of time, and I didn't get the iron on, did I? Oh well, next time. I'll keep stitching these little flowers. I'll probably finish it off now because down the bottom here, that little guy there is just going to be a continuation of this. So it's sort of around the back of the piece of the beehive. So I will just repeat. I've got my threads, I think, still obvious there on that tray. Yep, I can see them. And that'll soften the whole story and bring it together. The stem of this little guy, sort of need to bring in maybe a little bit darker green. They're looking very similar. Might go more of a royal green. So we've got a few minutes left and we might just, I can get that orange back out of the way. As I choose my threads, I am glancing down to all of the other work on this piece and just making sure it's not a colour that I'm bringing in that just doesn't exist. Not that anyone would notice. You'd be pretty good to pick up that there's a green here that does not appear. Like the green I just picked up, I spotted here. The little, that colour is up here on that butterfly. But look, this is such a kaleidoscope of colour, like it's a splash of colour, literally. I don't think it matters too much. So now we're just going to create the stem. Down we go. We'll try and get a proper stem stitch in this time. Or maybe a split stitch. That'd be all right, where I split the stitch as I go. No, we'll do stem. I like that wrapped. The rolled sort of look. Nice and easy. And then on the actual stems, there's like little itty bitty leaves. So I'm thinking do I go further? Maybe a fraction further. No. Going to be interfering with that daisy. There's some little scattered daisies in amongst that work below the stem, so I'm just going to stay back a little bit. I'd rather be cautious with my stem and be further back than be in the way. Now I'm just going to do a little lazy daisy leaf, just a little guy. Tuck that in there. That in there. Okay, and I've got thread left, so I'm just going to continue, jump over to this flower and run my stitch down like I did. I'll work that in because I'm pretty confident now I've got the flower itself sorted out, so I can shoot ahead now and put the rest of the stems in. What I'll do is I will sit here and finish the rest of them. Then I will iron it. So the photo at the end will have the bees in. It'll have that baby's breath continued on over this side. There'll be some more daisies in around here, just some little lazy daisies. I can scoot over there. Oh, you're not even on camera, you poor things. straightened up my back and it pulled my hands back. That's half the problem. We're leaning in to the cameras, or the camera. And after an hour of stitching, yeah, I can start to feel the muscles in between my shoulder blades are starting to stiffen up. So therefore I change my position and then we're off camera. And I'm sure you forgive us. You're probably busy stitching yourself and you didn't even realise that I'd gone off. I'm going to try and catch, running out of thread, catch that little stitch there. I'll scoot over to here and see if I can be cheeky enough to get this one done as well. How often does that happen? Not very often. A little lazy daisy there, and we have pulled it off. Okay, so the stem is done for the hollyhock. Well, I'm going to call it that, but technically it's probably not. Okay, we've got a few minutes left. What's the stem of a wheat look like? Let's just go back. Yeah, okay. Right. Well, you can see in the drawing. So we're on the right track. It's just getting that more tapered look instead of a solid. So it's more wispy. Oh, goodness me, they've used like heaps of little stitches to do it. And yeah, well, that's not going to happen. Some of them don't even do it. Let's go to images. Get back. See, I was on the right track. Maybe I need to make it more of a long turn down. Oh, so they're different again. See that? That's what I had in my mind. This whippy little piece. I think I need to make them finer. Anyway, it'll give me something to play with. So look for them. Oh yeah, see, look, very fine. I think that's a sewing machine that's done that. Okay. All right. I will leave it at that. I've got a little bit of time. What can I do? I might rethread. I'm going to rethread this wheat again. It's got me. Oh, come on. Okay, another go. Here we go. Let's get this sorted. I'm going to make it just one. Make it longer. Yes, that's better. And then a longer one up here. And there may be one without the turn top, just through there. That's better. Be better if it was in a hoop. I just end that, and then I'll come over that other side. Got enough stitches to jump over there. Yep, so I've got a knot. Might just pop a few strokes over here, and I'll put a couple that are in front of that ear of wheat, so it looks a bit more blended and less like an add-on. Leave it at that, I think. And knot it off, so it's done. That's it. I'm not pulling it out. It is what it is. We've adjusted. We did a little bit of research to see where we were going wrong, and it's much better. Is it perfect? Probably not, but yeah, it softens the top there. It looks like there's this wheat field further back. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I could do more in here, but I don't want my little bee to be covered. I sort of want to see him. So yeah, no, I'm happy with that. What I'll do, like I said, is I will continue to stitch these. I will bring this over into here. A few lazy daisies, the bees. I'll then iron it. So the photo you will see at the end of this video will be it completed. How exciting. So then we just wait for the next prompt for this piece, whatever that may be. And I can start now focusing all of my time on our French garden. I know some of you, it's your favorite and you're waiting patiently, but this one took a little bit longer because we decided to do some work on the actual piece where it's been more of a collaging of existing pieces, but I really think we've blended that in just fine. No one will ever know that that's me mucking around in there. All right, guys, have a lovely day, and I will see you all in the next video. I'm going to sit here and continue on stitching. All right, guys, look after yourselves. Have a good day. Bye. Hi, guys, I'm back. I just thought before I finish completely, I'd just come back and show you it actually stitched, because I did a few different things there, and I thought you might be wanting to see what I did. These little blue flowers, I put a French knot in the center and then surrounded it with the blue. So we've got a bit of a forget-me-not feel. I did some yellow little star daisies here with some little lemon French knots in there, and I did a turned down petal flower. So from the same family, of course, but I did 3 little lazy daisies pointing to the ground, and then just a little bit of satin stitch at the top of them. So it looks like a flower that's sort of coming into bloom, or maybe even finishing its life, and its petals are starting to fall off and hang down. What else did I do? I finished the Queen Anne lace, so that's done. I finished the these guys here. We'll call them hollyhock, but they're not really. Drifted a few of these little extra blue French knots down through here just to sort of soften it and start to connect some of these areas. It's like a bit of a ground cover through there, but technically, who knows. You'll notice I've ironed it, so it's ready to sort of walk away, but I ironed off of the piece the bees, because I had an idea of asking my mate Marianne, who's participating in the project as well. She's probably listening right now going, oh my goodness, girl, what are you up to? If you recall, Marianne's piece has these little cute bees. So I thought it might be a bit sweet to get Marianne to add these little bees to my piece so that she's part of this little project. So I've ironed them off, and I'm just going to let her go for it, and we'll see what she does. So in future videos, you'll see the little bees pop up. So she's figured out a great little bee there with just a few little strokes of colour. and some little lazy daisy wings. Just gives a beautiful hint of a little bee buzzing around. So there's another one over there by the looks of it. Yep. Beautiful. So the plan is when I get together again with her and a hubby and we're having another roast dinner, I will get Marianne to stitch, and what we might do is turn on the video and see how good she is. Let's put her under pressure. She will probably say, like hang, go away, leave me alone. But anyway, we'll see. I'll see if I can pester her to stitch onto video the little bees so you can see how she did it. All right, guys, look after yourselves and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.